Ya baik, selamat siang Bapak dan Ibu. Izin kita mulai 1 menit lagi ya. Ya. Baik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang Bapak dan Ibu, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Kepada yang terhormat Bapak Hendro Subagio selaku Direktur RNPI yang diwakili oleh Bapak Dwianto Wahyu Ari Nugroho. Kepada narasumber kita dari Clarivate, Miss Julin selaku strategic customer consultant. Kepada yang terhormat moderator dari iGroup, Miss Mika Talita. Kepada yang terhormat Bapak dan Ibu seluruh peserta sosialisasi yang berbahagia. Hadirin yang kami hormati, pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji serta syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, karena atas berkat rahmat-Nya kita semua dapat hadir di kesempatan kali ini pada acara sosialisasi Clarivate dengan tema Scanning the Horizon of Research with Web of Science and InCites, yang diselenggarakan secara virtual pada hari Senin 16 Juni 2025 jam 2 siang. Kegiatan ini diselenggarakan oleh Direktorat Repositori Multimedia dan Penerbitan Ilmiah untuk mendukung litbang jirap para periset dan meningkatkan pemanfaatan e-resources oleh periset di lingkungan BRIN. Selanjutnya, saya Rasti selaku pembawa acara akan membacakan susunan acara pada hari ini. Yang pertama adalah pembukaan, kemudian yang ke- kemudian yang kedua adalah sambutan dari Bapak Dwianto Ari Nugroho yang mewakili Direktur Repositori Multimedia dan Penerbitan Ilmiah. Eh, Lalu maaf sebelumnya kita menyanyikan lagu Kebangsaan Indonesia Raya, kemudian dilanjutkan oleh sambutan oleh Direktur Repositori Multimedia dan Penerbitan Ilmiah yang diwakili oleh Bapak Ari, kemudian sesi foto bersama. Selanjutnya adalah sosialisasi Clarivate dengan tema Scanning the Horizon of Research with Web of Science and InCites, yang akan disampaikan oleh Mr. Julin dan dimoderatori oleh Miss Mika Talita. Selanjutnya adalah diskusi dan tanya jawab. Baik, memasuki acara pertama yaitu pembukaan. Marilah kita buka acara ini dengan bersama-sama membaca Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kepada Bapak dan Ibu yang berbahagia, acara selanjutnya adalah menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya. Ya baik. Eh, sebelum memasuki acara inti, marilah kita mendengarkan sambutan yang akan disampaikan oleh Bapak Ari eh, selaku mewakili Direktur Repositori Multimedia dan Penerbitan Ilmiah. Kepada Bapak Ari, kami persilahkan.
Ya, Mbak Rasti, suara saya sudah terdengar Mbak Rasti?
Iya, sudah Pak Ari.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu para riset di lingkungan BRIN. Terima kasih juga kepada Miss as a Strategic Customer Success Consultant dari Clarivet, Mbak Nika Talita ya dari iGroup. Mohon izin kami mewakili Hendro. Pak Hendro Subagio kebetulan direktur kami sedang ada kegiatan lain, jadi mengamanati kepada kami untuk membuka acara ini. Bapak dan Ibu eh, sebagai periset di lingkungan BRIN, kami tim e-resources BRIN ya dari Direktorat RMPI memang setiap tahun kali mengadakan acara sosialisasi terkait penggunaan e-resources ya, yang memang sudah dilanggan BRIN dan juga memiliki potensi untuk dilanggan BRIN ya. Pada kesempatan siang ini dari Clarivet alhamdulillah sudah eh, berlangganan kami Web of Science ya. Jadi salah satu tools yang ada di Clarivet itu adalah nanti dijelaskan lebih lanjut oleh Miss Julin, Research Horizon Navigator ya Bapak dan Ibu. Ini sangat berguna ya untuk para periset terutama ketika ingin melakukan riset ya. Jadi para riset sebelum melakukan riset ingin mencari sebuah topik atau ingin melihat mereview topik-topik riset yang sudah ada sedang berjalan ini bisa melalui tools Research Horizon Navigator ya Bapak dan Ibu. Jadi nanti dijelaskan juga oleh pembicara kita hari ini. Kemudian kami juga nanti di eh, acara di acara ini juga akan membagikan kuesioner ya terkait kebutuhan e-resources. Jadi mohon nanti Bapak dan Ibu bisa mengisi ya barangkali dari apa dari e-resource BRIN yang sudah dilanggan BRIN barangkali Bapak punya eh, apa, punya database lain ingin dilanggan silakan diajukan diisi di kuesioner tersebut. Jadi kurang lebih seperti itu Mbak Rasti pembukaan dari saya. Saya mewakili Pak Direktur dan tim RMPI mengucapkan terima kasih sekali lagi pada pembicara dan moderator kita hari ini dan juga tim panitia yang sudah membantu sukseskan acara ini. Semoga kita semua dapat berpartisipasi secara aktif dan juga mengambil manfaat dari kegiatan hari ini. Acara resmi saya buka. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih banyak Pak Ari atas sambutan yang telah disampaikan. Bapak dan Ibu yang kami hormati, sebelum acara inti kita mulai, marilah kita foto bersama terlebih dahulu. Kepada para peserta dimohon untuk menyalakan kamera.
Baik, saya akan coba ambil gambarnya. Baik, sudah berasti.
Ya baik, terima kasih Pak Indra. Bapak dan Ibu yang kami hormati, sampailah kita pada acara inti, yaitu menyampaikan materi sosialisasi. Selanjutnya, acara akan saya serahkan kepada Ibu Mika dari iGroup, selaku moderator. Kepada Ibu Mika dipersilahkan. Ibu Mika.
Ya, baik. Terima kasih Ibu Rasti. Selamat siang Bapak dan Ibu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Selamat bergabung dalam pertemuan pada hari ini. Pertama-tama perkenalkan, saya Mika dari iGroup Asia Pasifik. Saya akan menjadi moderator Anda pada hari ini. Bapak dan Ibu, sesuai dengan agenda sosialisasi Clarivate, Scanning the Horizon of Research with Web of Science and Insights yang akan langsung dibawakan oleh speaker kita, Miss Julin, sebagai Customer Success Consultant Research dan Analytics dari Clarivate. Please welcome Miss Julin.
Halo, selamat
Yes.
siang.
Okay. Hi, Julin.
Hai.
Yeah. Without any further ado, I invite you. Please welcome. The time and place is yours.
Sure, thank you. So let me share my screen first. Okay. All right. So can you confirm that you see my screen
Yes, we
and the
can see.
slides? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Selamat siang, everyone. So a very good afternoon, and thank you for taking time to join us for today's webinar around scanning the horizon of research. So what does scanning the horizon of research mean to you as a researcher at BRIN? I think actually this question can be posed to any researcher out there, but when you are thinking of a research topic to do for your work, do you look for something where there could be a possibility of breakthrough science, or would you be thinking about a slight improvement from what has already been done before? Maybe a bit of both. Okay, but for today's topic, I want to challenge all of you to think about whether there's any possibility for you to embark on research that is very novel and is on the rise and very relevant for the future of society or science or the discipline that you're working on. So in today's webinar, I will be using a few different resources from Clarivate to show you the potential of identifying some of these breakthrough science and novel ideas. One of the solutions that we will be focusing on is the Web of Science, which the BRIN researchers now all have access to. And I think earlier on this year in February, I covered a few different webinar sessions to show you how to utilize Web of Science. But today I'm going to show you some additional content that is available in the Web of Science platform that you might want to consider for BRIN in the near future. Then I will also bring in InCites, Benchmark and Analytics, which is a tool that BRIN used to have before, which allows you to identify and benchmark your research performance, but at the same time allow you to see whether BRIN researchers are participating in any of these emerging research topic space. Right. So the session is being recorded and it is being delivered in English. So I'll try to go as slow as I can, but if there are parts that you missed and you want me to re-explain certain points, feel free to put those questions into the chat. I can monitor the chat as I go along as well, but I believe later on during the end, towards the end of the session, we do have some time for Q&A. So let's get started. We do have, so I'm going to show you some statistics here on this slide, which hopefully plants some ideas and seeds in to your head as to why is it important for Indonesia as a whole to think about what is it that would differentiate Indonesian research from the rest of the world. So number one, every year we have a large volume of research that is being published, and it is getting more and more challenging to stand out in the area of research across all your respective disciplines. All right, give me a second. Okay. And in terms of the global competition, you would see many different established geographical regions coming up and especially China, which is already surpassing US and Europe in their research production and technology. Then how can Indonesia then play a part in these different fields? Next, you throw in SDGs. I think everyone is always talking about the Sustainable Development Goals, how different countries are addressing each of these SDGs. So with this increasing rate of collaborations internationally across disciplines, it is important for Indonesian researchers to be equipped with tools that can help you to identify where there is potential for interdiscipline collaboration, and also tools to help you to identify a lot of these strategic collaborators that you can reach out to, so that Indonesian researchers are still playing in that field of emerging research. Now let's start with the researcher, which is you on the audience today. So as researchers, you are bombarded with a lot of research articles day in and day out. And these research articles help you to, number one, complete your literature review for a topic that you are working on for research. Secondly, it is also an avenue for you to discover up and coming research so that you know where those gaps are, what were previously researched on that was successful, and which were not successful, so that maybe your own research can fulfill. Then we bring in the predatory publication space, where as a researcher, you not only need to be able to see the volume of articles, but also be able to filter out articles that potentially may be fake or just coming out from paper mills. All right. So BRIN is already using Web of Science, and I'm going to start by showing you how the Web of Science core collection and some other content can help you to uncover emerging research space, uncover research gaps that potentially you might want to address as well in a very efficient manner. So let's start with what is the Web of Science core collection, in case anyone was not able to join in our last webinar session on the Web of Science. The Web of Science core collection is made up of 4 journal indexes. Okay, and these are the Science Citation Index Expanded, the Social Science Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Citation Index, and the Emerging Sources Citation Index. We also cover the conference proceedings as well as books. This content is what we call the Web of Science core collection. And every single content that is included in the core collection has been curated by our in-house editorial team at the Web of Science. The importance of this curation process is so that we bring you the trusted resources in the age of misinformation. So we will scrutinize all the journal content, the conference proceedings, and the books to make sure that they are meeting our quality criteria. If they don't meet our quality criteria, they cannot be included in the core collection. And this curation process is a continuous one, where even though the journals might have been indexed already in core collection, it doesn't mean that they might stay there forever. If we detect that there are changes in their publishing profile to show perhaps some unethical publishing behavior, we do reevaluate this content to make sure that we sift out the black sheep of the pile. Okay. Now, the Web of Science core collection is important for you as a researcher to look at because, number one, it is multidisciplinary. So it would cover different disciplines, even those that are outside of your own comfort zone. Why is it important? In the previous slide, we've talked about the increase in interdisciplinary research. So most of the time, you also need to be able to understand how your current discipline could work or collaborate with another discipline, right? So that's why it's important to cover all discipline areas. Then within the Web of Science, we do have very detailed metadata. Then this metadata is important for you to do analytics. Analytics in what sense? To identify potential collaborators, to identify how established that particular discipline is already. And the data that we have in the Web of Science is updated on a daily basis so that you can quickly detect any changes in these different trends. Behind the Web of Science data, the comprehensiveness of our indexation is what drives the power of the connections that we can see from research. We have a very strong citation network within the Web of Science because we include all cited references for all documents indexed in the Web of Science. What does this mean? It means that if this document in 2010 has 100 cited references, we include and list down all 100 cited references in the record. At the same time, we also show you all the citing articles from the Web of Science that have cited this 2010 document from when it was published to this year, which is 2025, or what we call today. Okay. Because of this, you can then explore and see the relationship between the past and the present research. What has been done? Why was this research cited? And from there, understand the evolution of that research discipline or topic. Okay. Now, remember this network. If you are, as a researcher, go into Web of Science today, you will probably be taking some time to go in and explore every single research article in the cited reference, looking at the citation network to see those older papers, references, and citations again. And it might require some time before you can see some trends for yourself. So in comes the research assistant. Now with the prevalence of AI, with ChatGPT, right, we are seeing more and more research assistants in tools in the research space. In Web of Science, we also have a research assistant, and this is our generative AI powered tool that will help you to get the most out of your interactions with the core collection data. So my previous slide showed you the citation network. So imagine that this research assistant can quickly help you to understand this complex network of citations, understand what has been done before, helps you to identify gaps in that research that you can plug. So the research assistant is now available for you to trial if you are interested to do so at BRIN. So if you think that the research assistant is useful and you want to try it out, feel free to reach out to your respective libraries or teams, and they will be able to reach out to us to set up a trial. For today, I'll explain a bit more about how we go about building this research assistant and show you a quick demonstration of these tools on the platform. Okay. So first and foremost, the research assistant allows you to search in your own natural language. So you can definitely search in Bahasa Indonesia, and the research assistant will give you back the summary response in Bahasa Indonesia as well. There will be follow-up questions available. There will be follow-up questions that are available to continue that conversation with that research assistant, also in your own natural language. We also include many different visualizations to help you to understand the connections between one topic and another topic area so that you can become more comprehensive in your literature searching. Okay. Now, the Web of Science Research Assistant covers content back to 1900. So when you are searching within the Web of Science Research Assistant, we are confining the AI assistant to only the content that is within the Web of Science core collection and spanning the last 120 years. This means that it would have reduced the amount of bias or inaccuracies in its response to you as a researcher. Any response that the AI assistant provides is also verifiable because you are able to trace how it has generated the search for the documents. You can replicate that search also in the traditional environment of Web of Science. You are also able to view the abstracts and the record that is in Web of Science and be able to click through to the full record in the traditional Web of Science interface. I mentioned about some of the visualizations that we have, and this is one example. This is what we call the co-citation map. When you are looking at a topic within the research assistant space, you will be provided with a co-citation map for the references it has used. From this co-citation map, you will then be able to identify other related research networks and be able to see what other documents could be relevant for you to look into. You will also be able to then identify trends in a field that would help you to define your research directions. Right. So I'm going to quickly show you the 3 tools or 3 guided tasks that are available now for the research assistant. I know that for today's topic, we are focusing on scanning the horizon of research, but it is also important for you to understand a topic fully, while at the same time be able to run a complex, comprehensive literature review that will help you to identify research gaps and potential hypotheses moving forward. So those 2 will be the main tasks that I will focus on in my demonstration for you. Okay. So this okay. So let me just quickly show you the platform and how we can navigate. So I'll start with the traditional Web of Science interface first. So all of you now already have access to Web of Science. Okay, so in Web of Science, we do have a new feature called Smart Search that makes use of AI capabilities to run searches for you. So all of you here, you can actually toggle to Smart Search if you want to try it out. This is part of your subscription and it's something that you can use immediately. So if you toggle Smart Search, by default, it will search all databases in Web of Science. You can change this to show just searching in the Web of Science core collection. From here, you can start by putting in your own research question, maybe a topic, maybe papers from BRIN maybe. Okay, so if you want to search for BRIN, okay, then it would give you some suggestions of what you are trying to search for. So if you are trying to find papers from BRIN, it will have some suggestions under affiliations for BRIN. Okay, perhaps you were just typing and then you wanted to talk about brine crystallization, brine zeolite. All these potential searches will pop up because of this smart search. Then we have the topics that would potentially be something interesting for you to look at. And of course, these are all suggested by the AI language. Now, here, let me just try and search for marine. And then we have marine policy and management, marine larval harvesting, maybe marine biomaterials is something that I might want to look at. So if I do a search on marine biomaterials, this is what is the results. So from here, the first basic way to find articles that would show you the interest level of the most recent times. So that means what is of interest in the most recent 6 months or a year or so, what is of interest in this space. You can make use of this filter called hot papers or highly cited papers. I think at BRIN currently you don't see this visible, but hot papers are papers published in the last 2 years that have enough citations to put them in the top 1% of the top 0.1% of their field. So if you look at this hot paper here, so in the space of marine biomaterials, this research article is of high interest because it has a high citation even though it was just published in December 2024. So we have engineered mitochondrial ROS scavenger nanocomplex to enhance lung biodistribution and reduce inflammation for the treatment of ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. Right? So perhaps this is a space that would spark some interest for you for your own research. So the hot papers filter is something that you could make use of to help you to identify what is most recent, what is of interest. Now, if you don't see this, it's fine. There's another way to uncover these forefronts of research. Now, you can sort this list by usage count. So we have this sort functionality called usage count last 180 days. And this shows you which of these articles have been most recently included in references or downloaded as full text. And that would be a trigger to tell you that it is of interest to the research community currently. So here you have collagen superfamily, biomass electrolytes for zinc ion batteries, chitosan, okay, nano drug delivery systems for anti-cancer drugs from traditional Chinese medicine, and so on. So looking through all these papers, you would be able to see what is of interest to the community currently. Okay. All right, so I've covered two things. One is using the hot papers filter and also the sort functionality to help you uncover new upcoming research, scanning what is of interest to the community now, and helps you to explore what's out there. Okay. The other thing that you could use to scan the forefront of research that you also have now is something called the preprints. All right. So the preprints can be accessed without the smart search. And you can go to the documents and the drop-down menu is here. You would find the preprint citation index here. Now, preprints are content that has not been peer reviewed yet. So why is it still important for you? The reason is because these preprints have been submitted to a journal. It's just that it hasn't been peer reviewed. And because it was just submitted, it helps you to see what research is coming up soon. So preprints can be quite useful to tell you what is that landscape. So sticking to marine biomaterials again, you can do a search of marine biomaterials topic, search, and you would see that there's 7 preprints available. Okay, you can sort this by the newest first, and you'll see that there's chitosan-based biocomposite hydrogels, okay, collagens, marine bacterium, and so on. So these are all useful to take a look at. You can view the abstract like how you would view a Web of Science record, but just take note, these are preprints, so they have not been peer reviewed. You use it with a pinch of salt. You use preprints to help you to see what's up and coming. All right. Okay. So you do have your preprints that you can explore. The other tool that you also have is your dissertations and thesis. So under ProQuest Dissertations and Thesis Citation Index, this is also a way for you to see what's up and coming based on the graduate works that are coming up. So if we go into marine biomaterials again, we can take a look and see whether there are any dissertations and theses around the world that is working on this topic area. Okay, so these are the dissertations and theses. All right, so that is the traditional interface of Web of Science. You can use the smart search, you can use the various filters and the sort functionalities to help you to uncover and see what's of interest in recent times. But what else can be done with our research assistant? So now let me just go into the research assistant to show you. So once a trial is activated for BRIN, okay, if it's of interest to everyone, then you will see this additional tab called Research Assistant. Once you go in, you would see potentially this page here that will ask you to start a new chat. And we also have some guided tasks that you can start with, and also some example questions to query the research assistant. Because I'm not sure how familiar all of you are with ChatGPT, but when you are talking to, say, ChatGPT, you need to have a more structured way of asking the questions before it gives you a more useful response. So similarly, with our research assistant, there is certain techniques and tips to use to formulate these queries on the research assistant. Okay. Now, let's start with understanding a topic. So let's say I want to understand more about a specific topic. Then is there a topic of interest that you want? Now, because not all of you have access to Research Assistant at the moment, I want to make this a little bit more interactive where you can suggest some queries into the chat. Okay, so I would probably pick maybe 2 of those queries in the chat so that I can run those examples in the Research Assistant for you. Okay, so if there's a topic that is of interest to you and you want to try it out now, please put those topics into the chat and I will use it. Okay, if you want to put it in Bahasa as well, that'd be good. But because I can't understand Bahasa, it would be great if you can kind of translate it both in English and Bahasa first. Okay. All right. So let's start with a topic that I was working on. So this was we were looking at marine collagen. Okay. Let's take a look at marine collagen. All right. Then it will provide you with the overview of this particular topic, okay, and a summary with the references. So here are some the references that was used to create this summary, okay, and of course I've just included marine collagen as a topic. You might want to expand this a bit more. So perhaps marine collagen's application in treatment or something like that. So it makes it a bit more concise in your explanation. So let's try this out. Marine collagen in treatment. Dermatological treatment. Okay. So here I'm a bit more precise in what I wanted to see. So the AI assistant can give me a better outcome of my summary. So here it would tell you that it has searched marine collagen, fish collagen, sea collagen, ocean collagen, and dermatological treatment, skin care, and so on. And it found 568 results. So based on that, it took 8 of those most relevant ones and created this summary on marine collagen. So you can see the full response of marine collagen, what it is, what are the studies. It will also tell you the biomedical applications, environmental implications, and then a conclusion, right? Through the 8 references, you can see, you can click on this link and it will open up the preview of the record. So you would be able to see the abstract, which journal it is from, and also its citation counts. Okay. Then on the right, you would see the co-citation maps. You can click through and it will expand the co-citation map at the bottom. All right, and then you can view the other documents. Okay. If you want to see the full results of this search of the 500 plus results, you can click through here to view it in the traditional Web of Science interface. Then the assistant will then suggest follow-up questions that you might want to think about, that you might want to run. So 2 of the follow-up questions here that could be of interest is, how does marine collagen affect skin hydration and elasticity? And then what are the mechanisms of action of marine collagen in wound healing? Then if this is of interest, then you can click on that and run a new search. Continue that conversation with the assistant. All right. So similar structure of the response. Also take note there's a feedback option here. So you can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down on its response on whether it is useful for you or not. All right. And then here you can see where the documents over time graph for wound healing. You can even look at the topic map just to see whether there are other areas or other topics that you might want to look at. Okay. And then just clicking on those, it will run a new search. Okay. All right. So this is the example for understanding a research topic. All right. Now the next segment that I would show you is on the literature review. So what is this literature review 2.0 that we have? Now this is the next generation of AI that we have, and it works, or it uses AI agents. So what are AI agents? AI agents are like a robotic friend that you can converse with, and it will start to help you to think on your behalf as well. So say, for example, earlier on, I put in marine collagen. What the agent would probably do is to give you a suggestion. So are you referring to marine collagen in skincare, or marine collagen in certain treatments, or what aspect are you looking at? So the AI agent is there to help you to think of alternative ways of looking at the data, right? And from there, it would be able to give you suggestions of what it thinks would be most useful for you at that point in time when you were looking for answers. So the literature review 2.0 that we have in the Web of Science Research Assistant would help you to optimize your queries. So it will specify and validate certain search strategies for you. And it would also be able, you will also be able to customize your scope of the response. So traditionally, a literature review might have specific sections. So later on in the demonstration, you'll see. But the AI agent will seek confirmation from you first to find out whether you wanted to add any other specific sections to your literature review. So that's the benefit of the agent. Then finally, how you want the output to be. It will help us to clarify the form and the output of that you want, what sections do you want to be displayed, and so on in your literature review. So it is a very, very powerful tool. And so far the feedback has always been very positive. Okay. So currently what we have for the literature review is that it will help to solve some of these challenges for you. Number one, it will help to clarify your research questions so that you can develop a better search strategy. It will also synthesize the literature more efficiently. So that means it will scour the Web of Science core collection and bring in more relevant data for your literature review. It will also identify knowledge gaps for you to pursue those topics that need further exploration. It will locate research hotspots so that you are staying up to date on that field or the discipline. And finally, also formulate some hypotheses that consider gaps and trends in the literature. So this is, of course, the typical literature review process within our research assistant. First, it will gather your requirements, so define your search parameters. Then it will execute the query. Once it has executed the query, it will present results for you and explain the output. And finally, it will offer some guidance on how to improve your query results so that you can further enhance your literature review. So this is a snapshot of how it looks like. It's a bit small, but I'm going into the platform to show a live demonstration to you. So what it shows here is that it wants to create a detailed literature review on impact of increasing greenhouse gases on climate change. Then it would give you some follow-up query to or subtopic areas that it would suggest that you would define it to. So you can suggest some focus. So focus on effects of temperature rise and global impacts in the last 10 years. Then the search strategy will be shown. And then if you're happy, just say proceed, and it will start to generate some of these results. Okay. All right. So it will also present to you the references that it has used to create all these different summaries and responses and hypotheses so that you can trace back. Okay. All right. So let me just go into the assistant again. So this would be under Literature Review 2.0. So you can click on that. And here you can see there's 4 options. Create detailed literature review, identify research gaps, find hotspots, formulate hypothesis. If you want to create a detailed literature review, then you can click on that and say about marine, collagen, okay, about the application of marine collagen in dermatology. Okay, and then here it will say, I will need to refine your query to develop a search strategy. So there are a few subtopics that we can look at. So would you like to refine your query or focus on any specific subtopics from above? So maybe clinical applications of marine collagen in dermatology. Okay, so let's proceed with the following steps. Okay, so it has currently restricted the time to 10 years, but you can always adjust this to 15 years. I think the 15 years is the maximum for the agent. Okay, so then this would be what's suggested, the main topic, marine collagen, and then the subtopics or synonyms for its generation. Okay, proceed. Then, of course, as I mentioned, it would always default to 10 years, but you can go up to 15 years. But of course, you don't have to be so polite for the research to the research assistant, yeah? But I like to include please. All right. So it will proceed with 15 years, and this is the query. Okay. And then in the last 15 years, there was very few. Yes. And then this would be the outcome. So of course, what topic I have just used might be a bit niche. All right. You can try out with your own topic. I don't see anyone suggesting topics to me. So feel free to really give me some suggestions, and then we can test out the AI assistant as well. So here we have the clinical applications of marine collagen in dermatology, what it is, the key themes and key findings, and then there's a gaps in research. So there is a need for, so of course with very few papers, you would realize that there's a need for more comparative studies between marine collagen and other collagen sources through its distinct benefits or limitations for dermatological applications. Then you would see things like potentially working on long-term effects of marine collagen for use in dermatology. So because the research on this long-term use is still limited, so necessitating studies on prolonged use and potential side effects. So this helps you to quickly know what direction your own research would want to take if you are looking at this. Okay. Then there are some potential hypotheses that you could consider. Okay. And then the references. Okay. So this is the literature review that you can try as well as part of the research assistant. Okay. I'm going to show you one Bahasa Indonesian example. I might have shown this during my session earlier on in February, but this is, I think, a population study model or mathematics model. So you can see what keywords it was using to search. So a mathematical model for population growth, I think this was what it was trying to search for. And then this was the overview in Bahasa Indonesia. You can see the full response is also all in Bahasa. Okay. And then the follow-up questions are also here. All right. Then there's another one here, which is to describe a particular model, Richard's model, I believe. And then the response is also in Bahasa. So it looked for Richard's growth model for population and economic growth. And then this was the summary. Okay. So I've shown you what potentially you can do with Web of Science content as a start by looking at the hot papers, looking at the sort functionality, looking at preprints, looking at dissertations and thesis. All these are already tools that you can use now to help you to see what's emerging and what's new. Then if it's of interest, then you can bring in the research assistant that can help you to uncover all these potential gaps in research that you can address with your upcoming research topics. Okay. All right, so let me just go back to Web of Science. Okay, and I'll show you a few more gold nuggets of information. So not necessarily about scanning the horizon of emerging horizon of research, but taking a look at policy documents potentially. I know some of you are writing policy documents, and it has been requested that we will also be able to show you some of this. We do have a new citation index, and this is the policy citation index. Currently, BRIN does not have access to this because it requires a subscription to Derwent Innovation Index, which is our patent database first, before you can get access to Policy Citation Index. But of course, if it's of real big interest to BRIN, we can always work together to find a good solution, right? But the Policy Citation Index shows you the policies around the world and allows you to search for relevant policy documents. Okay, so before I demonstrate this, I'll show you some information about the Policy Citation Index. Okay, so the content that we have under the Web of Science Policy Citation Index comes from different organizations. So we have different government agencies, NGOs, and think tanks from around the world that populate this index. You can also do, we also have citation linking within the policy index. So what this means is that if your own research has been cited by a policy document, we can track that citation. So that means if you have a Web of Science researcher profile, it will show that you have a policy citation. Okay. This is how it would look like. It's very similar to how a research a record looks like in Web of Science. You can view and see what is the abstract of the policy document, and be able to see citations, so the references that it has used in its formulation. Okay. I mentioned about the citations. So again, if a research article has been cited by a policy document, there is a citation count that is trackable. Okay. And if your researcher profile is something like this, and your research has been cited by policy documents, it will also show up under the Web of Science core collection metrics under the citing policy documents. So how to search on the policy citation index? Now, say for example, I want to search on a specific topic that I'm working on. Again, feel free to volunteer a topic if you want to. But I think for BRIN, you do a lot on marine. So maybe you want to see whether there's any policy documents around marine biomaterials. There is one, biomaterials from marine sources, and this was way back in 2003. Okay. Or if you want to see whether biology, marine biology, okay, there's also one on marine biology. Okay. If you want to see marine, okay. Okay, so marine related to harvesting. Okay, might be something that you also want to look at. So there's ocean fish farming, okay, marine fisheries. So these are potential search terms that you could look at.
Excuse me,
Yes,
Julian.
hi.
Yeah, there's a few suggestion topic in the
Oh,
Q&A tab.
okay.
Yes.
Oh, so it's under the Q&A tab.
Yes.
Okay, give me a second. Okay. Oh, that's a very interesting one. biological safety of artisanal cheese. Okay, that's very interesting. So let's, I'll come back to the research assistant search in a while after I showed you the policy citation index, okay? Okay, so this one would be the policy documents available for marine fisheries or fishing, okay? And you can view these accordingly. To see what's a specific source or country, we do have the filters available, and you can navigate to this to view those policy documents. So perhaps this could be a useful one to guide you on referencing or looking at other countries' policy citations or other organizations' policies. Okay. All right, so that's the policy citation index that I wanted to cover. So let's come back to the research assistant. All right, so let's start a new chat. And you want to search for microbiological safety of artisanal cheese. Okay. Let's do a literature review about. Okay, so you need to refine your query to develop a more comprehensive search strategy. So let's start with refine the topic can be approached from various angles, such as specific microbial hazards, safety practices, or types of artisanal cheese. So depending on what you want, let's look at microbial hazards. Okay. Then it will say that, okay, the main topic will be around this, and then these are the subtopics it will look at, and then synonyms that it will also search. So yes. So suggest restricting the results to the last 10 years. Let's go for 15 years. Oh, sorry, I just saw your response. Tick all of them. Let's start with this, okay? Then once we have the trial set up for BRIN, you can try all the different methods, okay? So here you have, this is what will be applied, and then this is the literature review format. If this is okay, proceed. Okay, so a small number in the last 15 years, but here we have a summary of the microbial hazards in artisanal cheese. Because the topic is very niche, and also the time frame for that search is 10 to 15 years, so the result set would be quite small compared to what you would do in the comprehensive search of the topic. Okay, but this gives you an idea of the latest trends in that research, and it also helps you to quickly uncover these gaps for you. Okay, so currently there's very limited data on microbial hazards beyond common pathogens like Listeria, Salmonella. So there is also a need for more comprehensive studies on the impact of geographical and farm-specific factors on microbial diversity. All right. Maybe if we increase the spend of that topic area, it would be, so if you cover it broadly, maybe the result sets will be more, but because we are focusing, zooming in on just the microbial hazards, then this would be the gap. Okay, then you have the potential hypothesis right there. All right, so nodally, I hope this gives you a quick preview of what this is. All right, so a few of you have said that the research assistant tab doesn't appear for you, yes, the reason is because currently BRIN does not have access to research assistant. It requires a separate subscription. So I know that BRIN is currently exploring what is useful for all the researchers. So if you think that research assistant is a useful tool to have for you, please give that feedback to the BRIN team, and they will be able to work with us to either give you a trial for a limited period or explore packages that would allow you to access these. Okay. Now there is a Bahasa one. Okay, so that means that, okay, so I'm assuming that you can't see the research assistant. Okay, yeah, so that's the reason. Are there any specific prompt to generate an optimum result from the AI used in WAS? Okay. So if you want something very comprehensive, you could always say understand a topic. Okay, so under this understand a topic, you could always use that same topic that we were looking at, but this would cover all years when they are searching, right? So microbiological safety of artisanal cheese. All right. Okay. Then there's another one. I want to know about seminal papers. So it means that important papers on this topic. So this would uncover the the papers that have been more cited. Okay. Okay. You can always use the this one as well, key microbiological hazards associated with artisanal cheese production, as a follow-up question. And then this is what it has used for its search. Okay. And I think I know why the system doesn't really give you a good one, because microbiological safety of artisanal cheese, are you talking about the consumption or the production? So if the assistant can't give you a direct answer, it kind of gives you what it suggests that it thinks that you are saying. So that's why again, the assistant can't really read your mind exactly. So it's best to be more defined in what you want. So it doesn't have to be in perfect English. You can just type in all the relevant keywords, and it would try and pull all these things together. So perhaps if we included, okay, microbiological safety of artisanal cheese or consumption, then it might focus on the consumption aspect of cheese. If it's production, then it will focus on production. So I hope that helps you. Okay. All right. Okay. Mario, you're trying to follow me exactly. The reason is because you don't have research assistant at the moment, so you can't access this because BRIN does not have a subscription to research assistant yet. I'm just showing you a preview potentially of what you could suggest to add on for more efficient use of Web of Science for your institution. Okay. Okay. Then Tinton, your question is, while exploring the features in Web of Science, we naturally compare not only international literature, but also BRIN's own literature As Indonesia's leading research institute, BRIN has produced substantial body of original and indigenous knowledge that is highly relevant, but still underrepresented in Bioscience Core Collection. All right, so is there a way for Clarivate to prioritize, support, or even mentor BRIN affiliated e-resource towards inclusion in the core collection? That's a very good question, Tinton. And we do run editorial workshops. So if that is of interest, or if you are part of a journal and you want to know more about how to get yourself indexed in Web of Science, we do run workshops to let you know the criteria in detail. So once you understand the criteria in detail, you will be able to position your journal for success for inclusion into Web of Science. But of course, it will also require understanding the different journals that are already in Web of Science. So, but you mentioned that you might have some indigenous knowledge that is specific to Indonesia and the region. So in Web of Science, we do cover these niche topic areas as well. And most of the time they are indexed in the Emerging Sources Citation Index. So of course, topic wise, it's just one criteria, but you need to understand our full 24 quality criteria first. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Tinton. Okay, so that's the research assistant. So for the next part, I'm just wondering, should we take like a 2 minutes or 3 minutes break, or should we just proceed on and continue? Because the next part will be on the Research Horizon Navigator, which is a very interesting area to help you to understand what is up and coming in research using InCites. Okay. Yeah. Mika, should we take a quick break or just continue?
I think we could just continue. Yes.
Okay, sure. All right. So the next part is another tool that again BRIN currently doesn't have access to because it is not subscribed yet. But if it is of interest to the audience here today, feel free to let your teammates know, give the BRIN team your suggestions and feedback. Okay, so the Research Horizon Navigator is something that we released about 2 years ago to help you to identify the newest field or the emerging fields of research. This will then help you to uncover which fields are most hot and position yourself in those fields for breakthrough science. Okay. So the Research Horizon Navigator is a database that shows you all the emerging research topic areas based on various disciplines. So you have things like agricultural science, what's the latest emerging topics, what are the arts and humanities topics, and so on. This database is updated monthly. So every month you would see new topics emerging as well, so that you can always come back to something new. Okay. What we have within Research Horizon Navigator is a few interesting things. We have our emerging topics labels, which would give you a quick summary of what this space is about, so that you understand the topic area a bit more. So we use AI to generate labels for these emerging topics. We also have something called the interdisciplinarity indicator that shows you how interdiscipline that space is. So the higher the interdisciplinarity indicator, the more diverse the topics in that particular domain. Okay. In terms of the methodology that we use for uncovering these emerging topics is based on co-citations of papers and the co-citations to highly cited papers. So to help you to understand this a bit better, so we always have 5 years publications that we are looking at, and these are articles, reviews, and conference proceedings published in the last 5 years. If any of these are highly cited papers, they form what we call the core papers, all right? And these core papers are usually cited in more recent times, and many other papers are co-cited together, are co-citing together on the core paper. So because there are high citation action going on, okay, we would be able to cluster these topics and push them to the front, and we would show these as emerging topics. So maybe a few clusters of these would form one topic, few clusters of these will form another topic because they are co-citing a core paper. Okay, so the papers in the Research Horizon Navigator cover the sciences, the social sciences, and the arts and humanities. So all disciplines. If this is also too confusing, just remember it's 5 years publications and it's based on citation relationships between the papers to show you what is of higher citation activity, and therefore those with higher citation activity are those that are emerging topics. Okay. The interdisciplinarity index, I'll explain more on the platform itself, but every single research area or field discipline would have a range. So if you are looking at that particular emerging topic, let's say this one, which is number 3903, then it is at 0.62. So let's say this is in clinical medicine, okay? So amongst all the emerging topics in clinical medicine, the lowest interdisciplinarity index is 0.33, the highest is 0.66. So this topic is very high on the chart. So it is quite diverse in its different disciplines that it covers. So it could range from things like clinical medicine and let me see, astrophysics. Okay, so some of these can be very diverse, but that means that potentially there is space for very interesting collaborations happening and interesting topics coming up. Okay. All right, so what can you use this tool for? It can help you to answer some of these questions, like what are the new and emerging areas of research in my space? Which emerging topics are BRIN researchers working in? Am I contributing to any of these emerging topics at the moment? And also to identify which are the organizations or authors now participating in those emerging topics, who is funding those emerging areas, which countries are leading in those emerging topics. Okay. So I'm going to show you on the platform how it looks like. So I want to reiterate, it is part of the InCites benchmarking and analytics solution. So if BRIN is interested to take on these solutions that I'm showing you today, it is part of the InCites package. So you do need to subscribe to InCites in order to gain access to the Research Horizon Navigator. So if this is of interest, let us know. Now, the Research Horizon Navigator is something like this. Okay, so from the Research Horizon Navigator, there are various research areas that you can limit to and explore. But let's say you want to type in a topic or a keyword, that's also possible. So maybe I will look for marine fish. Okay, if not, I'll just, okay, marine fishery, anything on marine fishery. All right, there is. So here you have the 54 emerging topics in this particular space. Okay. So the one that has most activity or most papers would be conservation challenges and extinction risks for global sharks and rays, marine protected areas, biodiversity, climate, and human impacts, for example. So if this is a space that you want to look at, then click on that. And this is the emerging topic where it will uncover for you the important papers that you should be looking at. So here you have your core papers, denoted by the darker green, and then you have the light blue, which are the co-citing papers. Okay. If you want to see each of these documents, just click on that. It will open up the preview. It will show you the abstract. Okay. And there's a link to Web of Science. Now, this is all good, but what is of interest is the viewing of the detail of this emerging topic. So you can click on view details to see. These are papers published in the last 5 years, remember. So we have these different topics here: fisheries ecology, coral reef ecology, that makes up this emerging topic. Then you have the interdisciplinarity index. So you would see there is 2 journals co-cited together, which is around ocean engineering, and then there's also obstetrics and gynecology. Then you go like, what has obstetrics and gynecology got to do with ocean engineering? That's where you try and uncover interesting dimensions of that research. Okay, so here we have astronomy and also hospitality, okay, which could be interesting to look at. Then you have your top contributors. So let's say you want to find a collaborator that's working in this area. These are the organizations. So the highest participants are in France, CNRS, and then you have James Cook University, and then you have the State University System of Florida. And who is funding this emerging area? You have the funding agencies, you have the authors. These are researchers that you can potentially collaborate with, and which countries are high on this participation chart. Okay. All right. So this is a very useful way to look at what's emerging. So just remember, this is updated monthly. So every month there could be new emerging topics coming up. Okay. You can even check whether BRIN is participating in any of these topics. So let's say marine fisheries. This is the list of the emerging topics. I can even go in to see, to search for BRIN. Okay, so you have BRIN here and refine. So currently, BRIN doesn't work in the area of marine fishery, but if I remove this keyword, we can then see BRIN participating in 247 of the emerging topics. Now, on average, we have about 10,000 emerging topics at any one time. So what this means is that for BRIN, you are working on 247 of the 10,000 emerging topics. You would be able to see here which ones you have most papers in. So the one that you have most papers in is charm and strange hadron production in high energy collisions. So this is in the area of physics and particles and fields, and followed by green synthesis and biomedical applications of gold nanoparticles. So these are all the different emerging topics that you currently work on. Okay. Okay. All right. So, and then if you want to look at other organizations that are in Indonesia, we have all these others as well. Okay. Now let's come back to the topic of about cheese then. Okay, let's see whether there's any anything about cheese in here. Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Okay, but there might be. So I'm just going to put in cheese. There are. So there's 22 emerging topics about cheese, and the one that has the most papers, so let me sort this, will be fermented foods, microbiome impact and health benefits, and sustainable, I'm not going to try and pronounce this word, production from organic waste streams. Okay, and these are the others. So you have probiotic viability, so something related to cheese. Okay, so if you want to see this one, which is the microbiome impact and health benefits of cheese, or any other things, so this would be all the important papers. You can view the details. All right, and also see the organizations. If you want to see all the papers about in this space, then you can view these 500 plus papers in Web of Science directly. Okay. All right. So that's the Research Horizon Navigator. So besides looking at the emerging topics, you can see your contributions to an emerging topic. You can try and identify collaborators as well to participate in that space. So a lot of different users for Research Horizon Navigator. And because this is part of InCites, InCites also allows you to do other benchmarking, like compare your institution's research with others. Those are possibilities. Okay, so that could be a separate webinar topic for another day if your different centers would like to compare your performance of your own center's publications. That's something that we can also explore for future topics. Right. So I'm going to pause here. Any questions about the Research Horizon Navigator? I don't see anything specific in the Q&A, but I think that Nodali, you had a question that probably is related to the research assistant. So about the reproducibility of the results, right? So I can cover that question in a while. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, Research Horizon Navigator is part of InCites Benchmarking Analytics, and InCites Benchmarking Analytics allows you to answer most of these questions. So you can analyze your research performance, you can analyze and find the most strategic partners in an emerging topic area. So once you've scanned the horizon for the emerging topics, you might then want to identify collaborators. So finding collaborators doesn't just mean those that have the most publications, right? You need to make sure that they are the true experts in that field and not just somebody riding on the coattail of another expert. So you will be able to use InCites to analyze all these different authorship positions and see who is the true expert in that space and reach out to that individual in a more accurate manner. Then you can also analyze your current collaborations. Are you getting the most benefits out of or most impact out of your collaborations that you're having? Okay. So the data that goes into InCites comes from Web of Science. So just remember all these different tools that I've just shown you. the data just comes from Web of Science, and it's filtered through to the platform to uncover and show you different aspects and facets of the same data. All right. Okay, so I'm not going to go through everything here, but if it's of interest to you, just let your colleagues know, and they would be able to reach out to us for a trial or to work out a good package for BRIN. Okay. So I'm going to start answering questions, but before I dive into the Q&A session, I think to address Nodali's question about reproducibility, in the research assistant, if you do see this, so let's say you see view all results in Web of Science core collection, you can always click on that to show the search. And then again, you can copy this query link and paste it into a chat or anything, and they can replicate the search that the research assistant has done. So we do understand that in terms of literature review, you still need to be able to reproduce that search. So there is always a copy query link in the traditional interface once you click on viewing the list of results in Web of Science. Okay. Iqbal, does the research assistant have access only to abstracts and metadata when dealing with open access articles, also to the full text? For this, I might have to check with our team on the answer, but what I remember is that we would use whatever content that we are able to see. So we do work out agreements with publishers and journals to get them to give us permission to access all these full text data where available. Okay.
Next, there is a raise hand from Desak
Mhm.
Gede Sri.
Yes.
Ya, silakan. Yang raise hand, silakan apabila ingin bertanya.
No.
Bu Desak Gede Sri, Handayani.
Okay, there's another one, I think.
Oke.
Rust. No.
Ya. I think the person forgot to unmute or something.
Okay, it's okay. So I think
Yeah.
Iqbal also had a follow-up question. So can you provide articles on democracy that draw on okay, let's try that question. Okay, this is where it gets a
Okay.
bit interesting. So let's see. Okay, so Iqbal, I would lean to you to see whether the results are what you expect. Okay, it would tell you that it used this query on democracy, democratic governance, Habanas, Jugan, and so on. And then here are the references. Okay, so let's look at the full response. So this is the theory. Okay, and then the link here to the results. So let's see the results. There are 4,000 plus results here that you can look at. Okay. So let me just go back to the research assistant and then show you the response, and then you can let me know. Okay. So of course, once you get access to research assistant, be it through a trial or subscription, you can always provide us feedback. So if it's good or no good, you can just put thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay. All right. So while Iqbal is having a look at the response here, okay, are there any other questions that we can address?
Untuk Bapak Ibu yang ingin bertanya, dipersilakan langsung dari Q&A atau raise hand.
Ya, baik, izin Ibu Mika.
Iya,
Baik, Bapak dan Ibu, apabila ada yang ingin bertanya langsung kepada narasumber, silahkan raise hand. Nanti saya akan mengirimkan request untuk menjadi panelis, jadi nanti bisa di accept ya.
Oh.
oke. Ada yang raise hand itu Ibu Rasti.
Ya, baik Bapak Iqbal, ini sebentar, saya jadikan panelis ya. Oke? Oh,
Hello.
Yes.
oh iya, Bapak.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to answer about the emerging topics. Is the emerging topics can we get the emerging topics using, for example, if we use Force Viewer, we can use it using the feature bibliographic coupling. Is that like that?
Kind of. So the Voice Viewer is a way to visualize the co-citation network, right? But we do have other methodologies behind the emerging topics to determine whether it is truly emerging. So co-citation mapping is one aspect. We also go deeper into measuring things like interdisciplinarity, to show you the emerging topics. So the Research Horizon Navigator will give you a bit more than those co-citation relationships. Yes, you can see all these in Voice Viewer, but all these other things like the interdisciplinarity index and all that can't be found in the Voice Viewer.
Okay, thank you.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Iqbal. Apakah ada yang ingin bertanya lagi? Silakan Bapak Ibu.
Silahkan Bapak Ibu yang ingin bertanya langsung kepada narasumber, silakan raise hand. Nanti akan saya jadikan panelis untuk dapat berbicara langsung dengan narasumber. Izin ya, Bu Mika.
Iya Ibu Rasti, silakan.
Sepertinya yang raise hand belum ada lagi ya. Mungkin bisa dilanjut.
Okay. Is there something else to continue, Julin? There's no more questions about this.
No. So I think the final thing to say is that if anyone is interested, so just a summary, okay, in terms of what BRIN has access to now, you definitely have the Web of Science platform. So like this one that I'm showing you here, you all have access. Okay, you can also access the preprint citation index, which is this one, and the dissertations and thesis citation index. At the same time, you also have access to JCR, Journal Citation Reports, I think. So you should be able to see the journal's quartiles, journal impact factor. The other solutions that I showed you today, which is the research assistant, this one requires your feedback. So you need to feedback to the team to let them know that, hey, I want to use research assistant. Can we do something? Okay, then we will work together to give you some a trial or work out a package. Same thing for InCites benchmarking as well, and the Research Horizon Navigator. So just remember, Research Assistant, Research Horizon Navigator will require your feedback so that we can activate the trial. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, if you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to myself or iGroup as if required.
Oke, thank you Julin. Dari Bapak dan Ibu, apakah masih ada yang mau ingin ditanyakan lagi? Baik, untuk research assistant dan untuk research navigation tadi membutuhkan feedback dari Bapak dan Ibu apabila ingin berlanggan bisa diberikan trial, bisa langsung menghubungi Julin atau iGroup, melalui dari iGroup juga bisa. Oh baik, Bu Padesak Gede Sri Andayani silakan. Bu Rasti sepertinya ada yang bertanya, ada yang raise hand sepertinya.
Iya,
Ya.
silakan Bapak atau Ibu Desak ya. Saya sudah jadikan panelis, silakan diterima.
Hmm? Oke. Ya. Silakan Ibu.
Thank you for this opportunity. Terima kasih Bu Mika atas kesempatannya. I'm sorry for the last. Maybe the Wi-Fi is not connect.
Iya Bu.
I have a question for Miss Lin.
Mhm.
How can I use IA for research assistant to find the suitable research in the area environmental?
Environmental, is it?
Yeah. Yes.
So you want to know how to find the suitable research articles on
Yes.
environmental.
Environmental and clean technology.
Okay. You might have to be a bit more specific because that topic can be very broad. So let me just try. So environmental, understand a topic on environmental
And clean technology.
and clean
Technology.
technology. Okay. So this is the response. And because it is a very broad topic, you might want to be a bit more concise in adding a bit more keywords. So is this environmental and clean technology? Let me see. Application in certain things. Then you can add on some keywords. So let me see. So these are the related articles that it would have found. So let me just open in a new tab. So it's a large number, I think. Okay, so that's 99. So this is in general the environmental, green sustainability kind of papers specific to an area that it thinks you're trying to see. But if you are looking for something else, so let's say key principles of environmental technology in sustainable development, or is this how do clean technologies impact certain things, then you might want to key in some follow-up questions to be more specific in the responses. The topic maps can also be quite useful to follow up on that search. So environmental technology, sustainable technology, you can click on that and then it will run a new search on sustainable technology in the Web of Science. Okay. So Budesek, would you have any would this response be suitable, or do you want to be a bit more precise in your questions?
Yes. Yes, it's good answer for me.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
Thank you
so
very much.
no problem. So if we do get a trial going for BRIN users, we can always run a short overview session on some search tips for you, so that you can make the most effective use of the trial during that period. Okay?
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih, Ibu. Apakah ada
Sama-sama.
yang ingin bertanya lagi, Bapak dan Ibu?
I don't think there's any more questions, I think.
Ya, Ibu Rasti bagaimana? Apakah bisa langsung ditutup atau bagaimana?
Ya, baik. Terima kasih, Bu
Ya,
Mika. Thank you, Miss Julin.
oke.
Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Ya,
Okay.
baik.
Oke.
Saya izin ambil alih ya.
Ya.
Ya. Baik para hadirin, dengan demikian acara sosialisasi Clarivate dengan tema Scanning the Horizon of Research with Web of Science and Insights. Thank you Miss Julian from Clarivate and Miss Mika Talita from iGroup for the presentation and the opportunity today. Kepada Bapak dan Ibu diharapkan mengisi link survei kebutuhan e-resources yang di-share oleh kami di kolom chat sebagai bahan analisis kebutuhan e-resources bagi preset BRIN. Saya atas nama MC memohon maaf apabila ada kata-kata yang kurang berkenan. Marilah kita tutup acara ini dengan bersama-sama mengucapkan hamdalah, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.
Oke.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
Miss
you.
Julin, Miss Mika.
Thank you, Julin. Terima kasih, Bu Rasti.